Man, I just finished reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's biography, and that thing is so inspiring. I wonder if I can do the very same thing if I do everything exactly like him. Hey guys, when we start out to do something new, it is usually because someone inspired us. The initial motivation very much relies on other individuals that invoke some kind of passion in us. And the first impulse is often to emulate what that person did to make fast progress. In reality, that method is flawed to a degree, and there are rarely two people who can walk the same fastest way, even if they wish to. And today we will learn why the fastest way, or my fastest way, is not your fastest way, and they may potentially differ by a lot. And to understand all of this, it helps to see that everyone has different starting positions in life. No matter who you are, you will be from a different place with different parents and a different culture. And your genes will very much differ from the genes of other people. And some genes express themselves in different ways in certain environments. So there are differences. Inherited differences, and those are not easy to talk away. The nurture versus nature people try to do it all the time and make it all about nurture, but it's not true. There are things that simply cannot be discussed away. For example, you cannot teach a raccoon not to hold on to something or something like that. It's simply impossible to decondition them. And when your level of progress differs from someone else's level of progress, you cannot follow their path. It is as simple as that, because you miss some of the preconditions. You can imagine success as a chain of cause and effect, where you have to achieve certain milestones to progress further. You have to check off certain things on a to-do list to actually profit from something. You cannot go from level 1 directly to level 25 in some MMO or something like that. You have to fulfill the conditions in between. But that is not the only difference. People also differ in terms of culture and natural inclination and even social surroundings. That is quite obvious to most people, but something they tend to forget when they think about such things. Because emulation of other people is a rather intuitive and easy strategy. It comes very natural to us as humans. And if you are a very driven individual, for example, you will follow a very different approach from someone who is very emotional. And that is just fine. We should use our strengths that has been given by us by cosmic luck to our advantage, and should not dwell on the things we maybe aren't as good at. And and the same goes for your culture and your social surroundings and the surroundings in general. Those equip you with a certain set of experiences and knowledges you have to work with. And those can be of immense value under certain situations. And some people simply do not have them. They have to work with other things. If some approaches don't seem relatable to you, you cannot follow them. Because you need at least the ability to use some of your prior knowledge and prior experiences for an approach to even seem somewhat beneficial to you. And as an example, imagine being someone who is already very driven, and someone now teaches you to drive yourself even harder. That's surely not a good thing to do. They might advise you to curse at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself how you are not good enough, never good enough. Apart from the fact that self-hate is a horrible fuel, it might at least work temporarily for some people, but definitely not for the one that already burns with a high passion. They won't get anything out of it. I mean, they can do it, and it probably won't cause too much harm, but it's certainly not a good thing to do and not a good strategy to choose in general. And the person will just burn out in general. The proposed strategy simply tries to solve a problem that person doesn't have. And that's a stupid thing to do. It is natural that we want to copy our idols. There's nothing against that. It is a very successful strategy after all. As we learn by imitation the majority of the time, or as I call it in my book, social adaptation. We simply try to behave in a way that gets us good results in a certain environment. And copying others is a magnificent idea at the beginning and gives you a good starting position. Nonetheless, you should think and understand for yourself to see what is essential and what is optional. Try to adjust the strategy so that it is better for your personal circumstances and inclinations. Chances are you have to modify it for it to work, simply because you are not your idol. And this is something I had to painfully realize for myself too. In the beginning, I picked a person and idolized them and tried to do everything like them, only to find out that it did not work exactly the same way. And over time, I realized that mistake and made it a core message of my book and a core message of the things I try to teach. I always show you what people typically do and how a good or decent or optimal path should look like. But the best path, simply does not exist. There's only the best path for you to learn something and the fastest way for you, but not an objectively fastest way. And that is incredibly important to understand. And I only really mean that quite well. I don't want to deprive anyone of fast success or anything like that. It is just that I observed that it did not work for anyone really in the past. People can try to, but in the end they choose qualities from many different people and try to puzzle something that fits their inclination out of it. And that is a much smarter approach than to just choose one person and try to do everything exactly like them. Okay, but let us now come to the most important point. Everyone wants fast results, but those usually come at a price. We try to imitate successful people, but that only partially works. I mean, we have to find out our own way that incorporates our inclination, our prior progress, and our social surroundings, our real surroundings, and our culture even. You can use fast and successful procedures as a starting position from other people, but you should always adapt them to your own needs. There is no objective fastest way. There's only the fastest way for you, and that is a very important message. Try not to emulate someone and expect the same result. It will not work. It simply will not work. And the people we idolize are usually very driven in their area and focus on just one thing, and that is not what most people do. Most people just want to be above average in most areas, maybe in the top 20 percentile, and that is perfectly fine in my opinion. Anyway, that should suffice for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy what I do, feel free to subscribe to the channel and maybe like this video so I know what to produce in the future and what style of content. But anyhow, that should be enough for today. Have a nice day and goodbye.